Good morning, let's get started. This is Morning Has Broken. This is the song we're going to learn today. Once again, if you're not a in-person student of mine, you can go to karabarner.com and contact me about getting a hard copy of the music here that I've written. Morning Has Broken by Cat Stevens, recorded in 1971, is actually a very old hymn. Google that and you'll see more information about who wrote it and that it's actually quite an old song. I was challenged by another one of my students just a couple of days ago to try to come up with a way to do that intro that's so pretty on the Cat Stevens version of it, where there's all this really nice piano being played at the beginning. The problem is that when we're tuned like we are, we for sure don't have all the notes we need. So I managed to manipulate and modulate a little bit to come up with an intro that feels and sounds like that piano piece, but I took some liberty with it. So I'm looking at Morning Has Broken, the first page, and it says intro underneath it. That's the first thing I'm going to address today. And I'm not going to lie to you, this is not easy for me to play. I certainly can't play it up to speed yet. Okay? So I'm going to play it all the way through very, very slowly, and then we'll back it up measure by measure and talk about some of the hammer-on pull-offs and the timing of it. Okay? So hold on to your hats. Here we go, and wish me luck. One, and we're in 3/4 here, so 1 and 2 and 3 and... break it down. And if you listen to this song, it's actually it's like that fast. So I would have to woodshed on this a lot. And I would have to do exactly what I'm going to tell you to do, which is play it over and over like I played it at that speed, set my metronome, and keep challenging the number that, I mean, it's not going to be easy. All right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. All right, let's break it down. We've got 3 measures that contain 16th notes in here. The very first measure of the first line, the first measure of the second line, and the first measure of the third line. So let's look at just those for a minute. The very first measure, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay? Now last week we talked about multiple pull-offs where you hit a note and then you hit the next note, and then you pull off a note that you hit a couple of notes ago. So that's one of those cases. We're going to go 1 and 2 and then that pulls off, and then you pick that last 2. So pull off, hit the 2. Okay? All right, that's the first measure. Now, on the second line, the first measure of the second line, when you go to those 4s, you need to make sure that you're up as high as you can get on that fret, because you're going to have to reach up to that 6+ cleanly and pull off, all right? So you can't, I personally can't hit those 4s on the middle fret and then get a good pull off of that 6+, all right? So make sure, and maybe make a note to yourself, get those 4s up high on that fret, okay? This is what that measure looks like. I've got my middle finger and my ring finger on those 2 4s. Okay, so you'll see that my index finger and my pinky are out. So it goes 1 and 2 and pinky comes down. Okay, now that's weird. And you got to have your pinky, like last week's lesson, you got to give your pinky a pep talk because he's got a big job. Once again, 1 and 2. And pinky goes down, so now I've got all 3 of these are 4s right now. Pinky, ring finger, middle finger, index is up. Those are all on 4s. I reach for that 6.5, pull him off, exposing my 4. Okay? That's how fast it's going to sound when we get it up to speed. Ba-da-da-dum, All right, then the third line, we've got a B minor chord with a nice open melody D chord there. Once again, I'm going to use my middle finger and my ring finger on my first two fives that I'm playing there, and then my pinky's going to have the tough job of pulling off that five. You can experiment with this fingering. You guys always ask me what fingers I'm using, so I'm just telling you, and you might come up with a completely different way to fret this, but you always have to think about where have I been and where am I going next, and am I fingering this the best way to make those things happen? I don't know if I'm making any sense or not as I stretch my fingers out. Okay, the B minor measure, first measure of the third line. Pinky goes, pinky pulls off. Okay, once again, 5, 5, open melody. Pinky goes down, pinky pulls off, and I pluck my bass string. So, whoops, pull off, boom. Okay. Also remember, guys, that a lot of times I do like extreme movements when I'm showing you this stuff. You don't want to have your hands be so far away from your dulcimer that you got to come back. I usually do that just to show you that, hey, either I'm not picking that string and I'm pulling it off, or get your fingers off of there or whatever, but don't do things as dramatically as I do when you're watching these videos. I do those things just to show you where my hands are and aren't, okay? Okay, that third line, first measure one more time. 5, 5, open, 5, pinky down, pick, pull off. Okay, so that ends up, let me see if I can do it up to speed. That's it. That's how fast that's going to sound. Okay. All right, let's take it from the top, and I'll walk you through it. Very beginning. 3 and 4 and there's no 4 in this song. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4's up high. See how I did that? Remember also, watch your timing, because the first measure of the fourth line does not have 16th notes. So play that like this. First measure of the fourth line. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay? It's not a 1 and. Don't be rushing those after having to rush those other 16th notes. Okay? Just take a deep breath and slow it down. There was another point I was going to make and I've forgotten it. Let's go ahead and take it one more time from the top. Okay, from the very beginning one more time. Nice and slow, and a count of 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now watch. My middle finger is always in charge of the bass string. It's always riding up and down on that bass string. Until now. Okay. So the point I was trying to make there is there's all this stuff going on and my middle finger starts taking control of this bass string, and it pretty much just rides up and down when I'm hitting my 3s, my 4s, down to my 2s, to my 5s. All those moments, I'm keeping my middle finger locked on that bass string, and I'm using it as my guide finger to drag me up and down the fretboard. Watch my middle finger again. Oh, I lost it. I shouldn't be playing it this fast. Let me slow it down. And I had my fingers wrong at the very first. Okay. There's where my middle finger takes its position on that bass string, and it's going to stay there. See what I mean? So all the way through the first couple of lines, that middle finger is just working up and down on that bass string. All right? Now, this is a very advanced thing to do, and I have combined my intermediate students and my advanced students. I've kind of globbed you all into one group now. What my intermediate students should be doing with this is I want you to try to understand it. Understand it, kind of go through the motions. I'll get you there slowly but surely. I don't expect you to be able to play this right now, okay? I will expect you to play this about a year from now, though, but we're going to take baby steps to get there. Now, what you can be doing while the super uber advanced students are playing this is you can lay down really nice pad chords. By pad, I mean just laying down a nice rhythm for them to play all the fancy stuff over. And really what I would do if I was you is I would go 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay? That will really, as a group, that'll make us sound very fluid. Something like that, okay? Except I want my advanced players to really play the notes, not go boom, boom, boom. When in doubt, you can do that, though. I've certainly been known to do that when I'm playing along with other people, and if I'm playing something really fast on any of my instruments, if I trip and I fall off the fretboard or off the strings down here, I've been known just to sing the notes until I can catch back up with myself. So nothing wrong with that. I'm perfectly normal. All right, let's take a look at the second page. And it says 3/4 across the top, morning is broken, lesson plans by moi. Okay, it looks like that, if it's not bleached out by the incredible lighting I've got in this room. Along the side it says Dulcimer 1 plays the tab, Dulcimer 2 plays the chords. Okay, we'll talk about Dulcimer 2 here in a second. Let's go ahead and play our tab to begin with. Okay, and this is a much kinder version of this. It's all in quarter notes. You are going to have some big chord shapes to play on a few occasions, but it's not anything you haven't done before. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to have my middle finger on my bass string and my thumb is going to be in charge of the notes on my melody string. So I've kind of got this motion going up and down, okay? All right, let's take it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. 1. Here's a big stretch. As soon as we finish that, you'll see at the very bottom of this, I've got a note there that says you can play the chords or the intro here. So at this point in time, these notes right here, the very last measure, that's where you would start the intro again. Okay? Now immediately after that, you can play the chords. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, to the verse. Morning has broke. Okay, that's how that layout works. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the tablature and break down the fingering on it. Once again, what I'm going to strive for is you'll see me playing my 2, 3, 4 with my middle finger on the bass. My thumb is on my melody string. So when I go up to the 5, 5, 7, I slide those 2 fingers up to 5 and 7, and my ring finger jumps in on that 5 right next to the other 5. So I go 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7. And that is a really good exercise for you to practice right there. Moving back and forth. When I do that move from the 2, 3, 4 to the 5, 5, 7, my middle finger and my thumb are traveling up those 2 strings just like a train running up the tracks. Okay? They don't lose contact with the string at all. I can feel it underneath those fingers as they move up. I'm not pushing them down. If I was pushing down, you'd hear more of an audible slide. Okay? Now after the 5, 5, 7, you're going to go to a 5, 6, 8. That's a very simple move. You've got 5, 5, 7 down. Notice that my pointer finger is up. I'm going to drop it on the 6 and slide my thumb up to the 8. Okay? So once again, you go from 5, 5, 7, slide the thumb up, drop the index down, 5, 6, 8. It's that simple. Okay? Now when we go to the next measure, the 4, 4, 6 plus, everything slides down. Boom. See how easy that is? Okay? The next thing we're going to do is we've got a 4, 4, 4. My pinky's right there ready for me. And then the next thing after that, on the first measure of the second line, I go 3, 3, 5. See how simple that is? Okay? All right, I'm going to go through the chord shapes real quick, and I want you to watch how easy it is to slide those guys into new positions without lifting your whole finger up and going, yada, 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 what's next? Okay? 2, 3, 4. 5, 5, 7. 5, 6, 8. 4, 4, 6 plus. 3, 3, 5. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got some open D work to do there, and then we come back to a 2, 2, 4 for the F sharp minor. Okay, right after that we come up to the B minor with all 3 5s. I'm going to come off of that F sharp with my index finger and my pinky up in the air. I'm going to slide these 2 fingers from the 2 up to the 5 and add my pinky. Okay? This happens on the 3rd line, the very first measure of the 3rd line. So you've got that 5, 5, 5 business going on. The next thing we do in the 3rd line is we go 1, 1, 4. These 2 fingers, once again, they're already where they need to be. I just need to slide them down to the 1. And look what happened to my hand, my thumb. Watch what my thumb does as I slide down. Boom. Not much. He doesn't do much. And all of a sudden, all I got to do is drop him down on that 4. Okay? All right. After that, we've got a 1, 0, 1 for an A. Then we get back to the business of a 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th line down. And then we take those 3 fingers, I'm going to leave them just in that same alignment and slide them up to 5, 6, 7. Okay? Literally. You're going to go from 2, 3, 4 to 5, 6, 7. Okay? From there, I'm on the 4th line again. I got a 3, 3, 5 G, so I'm going to go boom, down to there. Just super, super easy to be efficient with this. And it's a good thing to practice. If you look, maybe even if you copied off 2 copies of this page, because you wouldn't want this to be on the page that you read all the time, but highlight just the chord shapes and go through and practice them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 4, 6 plus, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4. See what I mean? That's a great way to practice this, because as we're laying those shapes in, only occasionally do we have to move our thumb or another finger around to grab something else in that measure. Okay? All right, so the whole idea behind this is that we will play the intro page, and then we will go right to the second page and play through this version. At the end of this, we will play through that chord progression and then start it over again. Okay? And we'll decide when we want to stop. When we do end, we'll probably end like we always do with some of these songs, just on a nice, solid D strum. Okay? Now, Dulcimer 1 is going to be playing this tablature. Dulcimer 2 is going to play the chords. Let's talk about all the different options we have for these chords, because this can be kind of fun. Now, we're in 3/4. You could simply do 1, 2, 3 for each measure. Even simpler than that, you could strum 1 time like you do on the intro. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Or you could put a ditty in that. It could be boom, boom, ditty, boom, boom, ditty, boom, boom, ditty, boom. Now look at my hand. Boom, boom, ditty, boom, boom, ditty, boom. See, my hands just it keeps moving, just like the boom ditty business. You got to keep this hand moving. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. So if we do a boom boom ditty for 3/4, that's I'm going to suggest you do it that way. All right, so I'm going to turn my metronome on. And I'm going to play through this chord progression doing a boom boom ditty pattern. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and boom boom ditty, boom boom ditty, boom boom ditty. B minor, E major, in the box. G, A, F sharp, B minor, G, D, A, D, second D, third D, top of the page. Boom, 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 and you just keep cycling it around like that. Okay, now you'll notice the chords down there in the box, the bottom right-hand corner. I didn't put a minor after that F sharp. I want you to make sure that that's an F sharp that you're playing. Don't give it the minor sound. Just go to the 2-2-2 and make sure that it sounds out as an F sharp major instead of an F sharp minor, okay? We've talked about those before. We have to be careful when we have a chord that we normally play as a minor chord and all of a sudden we're playing it as a major chord. It's best to go with these straight across, like for the F sharp 2-2-2. If you play an E, there's no doubt in anyone's mind, if you go 1-1-1, that's an E or an E minor. 2-2-2 can be an F sharp minor or an F sharp, okay? Serves both purposes. Okay, now the other cool thing you can do with these chords, you can do arpeggios for these chords. You can do quarter note arpeggios or you can do eighth note arpeggios, okay? If you do quarter note arpeggios, it's going to sound like this. 1, and before I start, you can play the strings in any sequence that you want. You can make that up, whatever feels comfortable to you. I'll probably do a bass, middle to melody in that order, okay? For my little example here, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, D, B minor, E minor, A, G, D, D again, F sharp minor, B minor, E, A, D, G, you got 2 G's there, D, B minor, E minor, A, D, G, A, and D, okay? Now, if you want to use eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and come up with with a pattern that feels comfortable for you, but you're going to do a total of 6 single notes for every measure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More appropriately counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now the pattern that feels comfortable for me is my bass string, middle string, melody string, middle string again, melody. Bass, middle, melody, middle, melody. Bum, 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 bum. Bass, middle, melody, middle. It's hard to say melody and middle back to back really fast. See if I can do this up close for you on the camera. So I'm going bum, 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 bum. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay. Now I'm going to play that really fast, like up to speed, so you can get an idea of what it's going to sound. Morning has broke. Yes, that'd be how it started. Morning has. Yeah. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first something. I don't know the words and I don't have them in front of me, but you get the idea. Let me play it without singing it so I can focus on what I'm really supposed to be teaching you. 1 and 2 and 3 and. I'm tripping up. Okay, let's start it from the very top. I'm going to have to slow it down and turn my metronome on because my right hand is going, hey, you haven't warmed me up. Bum, 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 bum. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Do as I say, not as I do.